Hi, this is Kerry Artek with Wicked Stocks, bringing you an individual stock pick in Alphabet Inc. That is Google company. GOOGL is the symbol. Recorded Monday, November 21st, 2022. We'll scroll to the basic fundamentals courtesy of Yahoo Finance. You can freeze frame over this if you like. I'm going to segue on to the weekly charts. Weekly charts throughout. This takes you back some 10 years, close to it anyway, back to 2013. And we're going to zoom in this area here, the big sell-off off the all-time high back in January and the bear market that still exists. I'll show you that in a moment. But in the midst of all that, we have not closed above this channel top at 95.40, and I should mention steeply descending channel top on the weekly chart this week, the entire week of November 21st at 95.40. We rolled, if you will, above it, opened Monday morning above it. I did record this a couple of hours after the opening bell, so it is timely. 95.40 is our support for the week and can contain selling on a weekly basis, and above which a near-term buy signal is tentatively in play. Now, truth is, not unless we close above this formation. We've been closing above it, I should mention, on the daily chart for the last few trading days. But on the weekly chart, we closed essentially right at it last week, and we've opened above it this week. So I call this bottom picking territory into later December, 95.40. It's tentative, but actionable. And it becomes clear cut on the weekly chart, of course, when we settle Friday afternoon above 95.40. I should say if we settle Friday afternoon above 95.40, but I don't want to dissuade you, if you're an aggressive trader, from buying Google based on this information. I think it's actionable and may, over the next few weeks, result in bullish continuation into the low 100s, which I'll show in a moment. But I also wanted to emphasize that, this is also a range. You've got the high of the low from a month ago. The high on that bar is 96.03. And we did close above it 2 weeks ago. And that was a stabilizing event. In terms of sort of at least temporarily suspending the sort of bearish momentum that's played out over the last couple of months especially, and over the last year certainly. 96.03 is really the start of a range down to 95.40. That is sort of pick your spot inside that zone in terms of support that can contain weekly selling pressures, and above which, especially with regard to 95.40, this market remains in a near-term buy signal, and I'm going to characterize it as a counter-trend buy signal that should, over the next, with the kind of momentum we've had recently, within possibly 2 to 3 weeks by the end of December anyway. This is a range that begins at 111.14 and ends at 117.68 this week, dropping 80 cents a week. And that channel structure up there, 111.14 and 117.68, is our prime long-term resistance. In other words, can, if tested by the end of December, contain buying possibly through the first quarter. And from there, we can rotate south to new lows, perhaps, within several months of testing 111.14 to 117.68. So this is, in fact, a counter-trend rally that can emerge above 95.40, the 111.14 to 117.68 area in reach over the next 3 to 5 weeks or sooner. 117.68, that formation, if tested, represents roughly a 20% move to the upside for Google or Alphabet Inc. over the next 3 to 5 weeks. And that would be your profit-taking zone. And if we push into that zone, you can calculate the exact location of this meaningful channel resistance all the way through January, if you like. And it will provide you sort of the ceiling, the trend-defining ceiling for Alphabet as we continue into later year. I'll finish the upside concept with, if we close above that 117.68 channel top, that would represent a meaningful buy signal into later 2023. I would expect at least a retest of that all-time high back in January. I can't remember exactly where it is. It's close to 150. And probably then some as we move into later 23. But no sense in getting carried away with ourselves right now. This is just a video to present a near-term buy signal in the midst of what remains a long-term bear market, which are highly susceptible to failing, of course. And so we do need to cover the downside, because that would represent an opportunity as well of equal proportion. So let's take a look at the downside. We have 95.40, of course, as our base of support. And you can bottom pick that this week. And provided we continue closing daily sessions above it, and then, of course, Friday, the end of the week above it, we are in that 2 to 3 week, 3 to 5 week buy signal I outlined just a moment ago. On an intra-week basis, if you buy 95.40, I would suggest bailing on that long position if we close any day below the low of the recent high, which was last week. In other words, 94.51. That was last week's low. That is the pullback high so far following the low from about a month ago. So if you buy 95.40, you've got a pretty simple stop loss below 94.51. Certainly if we close any day below 94.51, this market is back on its heels and I think is likely to then close the week Friday below the 95.40 formation, which I'll emphasize we've yet to settle above on a week-by-week basis. We came very close to doing so last week, but did not. So if we close below 94.51, I think the writing is on the wall that we're likely to continue south into later week, close the week Friday below 95.40, and we remain on our heels as we move into later December. And I wouldn't be surprised under that scenario that over the following month or two, we could fall to the 72.76 descending channel bottom, dropping 112 a week. As you can see, that area, if tested, able to absorb selling on a quarterly basis. And that could be a bear market completing formation. In other words, the bear market may complete itself at that channel bottom. I just want to put that out as well. We've been in about a 1-year bear market now, close to it anyway, 9 months in Alphabet. And if we were to test the 72.76 formation, that is a good area to liquidate any short position you may have and to actually take a stab at accumulating a long position in Alphabet. We'll be covering it at Wicked Stocks at that point in time, certainly providing you where that channel bottom is at the time, what the upside targets may be, so forth and so on. But this is the downside scenario. If we close the week below 95.40, we remain on our heels, on the defensive into Q1, the next couple of months then in reach of that 72.76 channel bottom. And if we close today or any day this week below 94.51, it is also a sign of weakness and an actionable sell signal. So under that scenario, you could consider scouting out, 65 out of the money puts that don't expire for at least 3 months. Give yourself enough time for the time decay element to not work against you. And I could have outlined earlier how you could also scout out 100, 110 out of the money calls at the earliest portion of here that don't expire for at least a couple of months. And that is actually the play presently because we are presently above the 95.40 formation. So anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this particular Wicked Stocks video analysis on Alphabet Inc. You have a great day.